Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott wave update for HBAR. Now in this video, I'm going to be discussing two different counts. Both are bullish, just so you're aware. I'm not interested in any bear counts at the moment, as I'm heavily biased that the counts and the way the waves have panned out here. I am expecting at least a higher high above this previous level. Now, if something changes and we invalidate these counts, obviously I will give you the bear case. But until that happens, not worth discussing. So the most bullish count I have is a 1, 2, 1, 2. If this happens within the very recent future, we should actually absolutely explode for a third wave up to around 35 cents currently. I'm going to discuss the issues with this as well. So this is a low probability trade. Important to note, very low probability. The only times I have seen these happen, these sort of setups, is I saw one on Solana last year, where the second 1-2 was larger than the first 1-2. Because realize the second 1-2 is of lesser degree than the first 1-2, so we expect it to usually come to the 618 extension of wave 1 off of wave 2, so something like this, and be lesser in time. Something like this, unless it's a diagonal. So we're expecting something like that way earlier in time. Now, again, they do play out this way. This isn't invalidated by any means, but just that goes against this count, right? The fact that the 1-to-1, the second 1-2 actually hit the 1.236 extension of wave 1 off of wave 2, the first one of one larger degree, and the amount of time. But as you know, invalidations are when we come below the beginning of the second wave 1 to invalidate this count. So technically hasn't broken any rules, just the guidelines aren't working ideally, which happens a lot in crypto, obviously. Second issue, our wave 2 of the largest degree here came to the 887% retracement of wave 1. Our wave 1 of one lesser degree came to the 887 retracement for the wave 2. So you can see the issues with this count. Usually we want between the 50 and the 786 for our wave 2s is the most probable. But again, we have not broken any rules. We have an impulse for our first wave 1, diagonal for our second wave 1, where when we do get a larger in time and price, time, not price, for our second wave 1 of one lesser degree, I would expect it to be a diagonal. Diagonals take longer than impulses. So anyways, that's my most bullish count, and that has us going to about 35 cents for this third wave in green. You can see eventual targets would be the extended third wave extension in blue, which is at 57 cents, or we'd get this third wave, then get our fourth and fifth. So that's my most bullish case scenario. And if we hold this pivot, it's all over if we drop below this level, right? If we invalidate this wave 2. But you can see we are recovering quite nicely currently at the moment. Now, my alternative count, which I give higher probability to, is we are moving correctively. We have an ABC for our W, expanded flat for our X, and we're going to make another three-wave pattern here for a Y wave, just targeting the 1-to-1 of the W off the X, which is up at 17.81 cents. Now, important to note, when we come up here, we can just continue to move correctively to the upside. Obviously, we would all want the extreme bull case, but we have to pay attention to how the structures fill out here. Do we get impulsive? Because obviously I would expect that to happen relatively soon. Or do we just continue to grind up sideways, right? But in both counts, invalidation is just past the last low for these specific counts. We can come lower and move up again, and this ends up being some sort of flat if we come to the 90% retracement of the entire move to the downside, which is down here. because then we can get a 3, 3, 5 waves up, right, as a flat 90% minimum requirement. So these are my two primary counts that the low is in both scenarios. So let's talk about what's happening off this low, because clearly we want indications of trend reversal here. Ideally, we want 5 waves up, right, at the end of our correction. So I'm going to talk about the correction to the downside real quick. I haven't covered this for quite a while. And that was that we had a WXYXZ. Very difficult count. We were looking for a recovery in this area, I remember, because we had WXY complete, and then we ended up getting our last move down. That happened in a lot of altcoins. So have this as an ABCX, ABC with a triangle B wave there for our Y, 3-wave move for our X, and another ABC for our Z. So all intents and purposes here, we should be complete, right? Now, you can see my markings here for my probability shift zone. That's past the 618 retracement of the last move down. That's when we start to gain evidence that we are moving to the upside. Now, issues with this count. Issues with this count are we've only moved up in 3 waves off the low. Very difficult count. I'm going to zoom out to the larger time frame and show you how this can just keep going to the upside as well. But currently on the 1 hour, the fastest way we would move to the upside and not drag out is to make a diagonal here. We have a WXY for our wave 1 as our diagonal, WXY, double zigzag, and then we have a expanded diagonal for our A wave, B, and we're looking for 5 waves up, possibly complete here. I'm not sure if the 3rd wave is here or we need a 4 and a 5. We'll see. But you know, in my diagonals, as long as we don't go super deep, we're right between the 50 and the 618 retracement. I look between the 618 and the 786 extension of wave 1 off of wave 2. So in this scenario, either we're very close or need one more move to complete our ABC for our 3rd, looking for 4th wave overlap with wave 1. It doesn't have to. And then our 5th wave up. And invalidation of the 5th wave would be if the 3rd wave is the shortest within the diagonal. So that's how we can put our measurement. But this is what I want to see. Nice little pullback, and then we can absolutely launch for our 3rd of the 3rd. But you can see it. There's no way this is a 5 wave. There's no way this is a 5 wave. So I was trying to see how it could be like possibly an expanded diagonal. It does fit with the measurement. If we put on our B and X zone here, does technically fit. You can see we're right in that zone. But it just fits so nicely as a matching wave here. So I don't like to stretch those expanded flats unless I'm getting indication that they are more likely than just using structure break areas to define the pattern, right? So this is what I'm looking for. But the important thing to note is I'm not interested in shorts in this area. I only want to buy. That's what I'm doing. I'm only adding to the position on the pivots here. I'm not interested in hedging. If we come back, that just gives me an opportunity to buy, and I'll just raise my stop as we go, right? And hopefully we can get this diagonal and get moving. But I do want to talk about how can we keep moving up here. So here's the issue. Here's the issue. There's a possibility that this just continues up. I'll show you that. Possibly to this 0.618 and faster than I expect. I prefer my count, but what that would look like is we just get a extended C wave, where this is more of an ABC, like so, come to like the 1.618 and my count is wrong, something like this. And this could be actually be our wave 1 within a diagonal. Something like this. Right? So if we continue to the upside, I still expect this to turn into a diagonal because we started off with 3. It's just hard to know what degree is that wave on. Is it on the 15 minute like I had, where we're topping in our wave 3, or are we still in our wave 1 of the diagonal, right? We're not going to know until it plays out. And it would just be a smaller version of this, right? I prefer my count because this one would take us into the end of the year, right? We just get to like 10 cents-ish and not be able to get our long till next year. But if this is the third wave, fourth, fifth, like this, well, then we can launch, sometime next month and get all-time highs, or sorry, not all-time highs, but get well above this previous level at around 18 cents before end of year. So obviously I'm hoping the smaller time frame plays out first. So that's what I'm looking for. And if we just start launching, I would expect this to be a relabeled structure. This would probably be another 3-wave up, something like this, where that's just an A, B, C, and our wave 1 is all the way up here, right? Like I discussed on the larger time frame. But ideally, we just get this move, pull back, and we can go. So that's what I'm looking for, guys, on HBAR. We'll see if we get this pivot. But in my point of view, heavily biased to the upside, unless one of these levels breaks. And if they do, I will update you guys in the bearish scenario. All right, guys, that's it for HBAR. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.